Oh, sorry, 1 minute. My partner has just sent me an image. They just received a shiny Incineroar. I'm going to offer my condolences. Fucking Incineroar. Pokemon the card game, the mobile game, that is. I stopped playing that a while ago. I've been playing it for a while, but then I had that moment. Do you ever have that moment where like you've been doing something out of obligation for a while and he's just suddenly like, hey, wait a minute, I've not enjoyed this for like a week. And then you just stop. You have to stop there. The moment you have that realization, you have to stop then. Otherwise, you'll goad yourself back into something that you don't even necessarily enjoy. If you're ever playing a gacha game and you think to yourself, oh, this actually isn't very fun. That is a fucking, that's a life raft. Okay, that's a rope to pull you out of the waters. Use it, take it, get out of there. Anyway, let's flip through some books about Appalachian folk monsters. A few entries catch your eye. We get more books to look at because we are book smart. We get to read like fucking 3 additional books. So we'll just do them in order, top to bottom. Mothman, a humanoid creature whose sightings are said to be tied to supernatural events. I believe Stella was wearing a Mothman t-shirt yesterday, if I'm remembering correctly. The Mothman is a large flying creature generally described as humanoid with glowing red eyes. It was first spotted by a couple in West Virginia in the mid-1960s and was encountered in the region several more times in the following years. It's interesting because it makes me wonder. I mean, actually, I don't know if this is historically. I don't know if this is accurate to real life, Mothman sightings, but fascinating that, that's a relatively new piece of folklore then. Because, a lot of it stems back for ages and failing that, you can kind of make a connection. One of my favourite sort of pieces of folklore that we've kind of retroactively found an explanation for is they'd be like stories in medieval times of people who would wake up with like little demons, little gremlins on them, like stopping them from breathing. And since we've sort of come to understand a bit more about sleep paralysis and the effect that can have on one's breathing and the visions that you can see during sleep paralysis, it makes it all the more likely that it's sleep paralysis, really. It's cool how, like, these kinds of stories are recontextualized as we learn more things. Or maybe both is true. Maybe sleep paralysis is real, and maybe medieval peasants were beset upon by ancient chest gremlins who would sit on their chests. I don't know. I'm not a medieval peasant. I'm a contemporary peasant. The Silver Bridge collapse of 1967 has been linked to a series of Mothman sightings, and it's said the presence of the creature served as some sort of omen or was a catalyst that led to the disaster. This has since become an important aspect of Mothman, with sightings of this cryptid often taken as a sign that some great fortune is soon to follow. Kind of matches up with the ditchlings, but not in appearance. The ditchlings didn't have glowing red eyes. They weren't really humanoid. And the ditchlings also laid eggs. Okay, the Jersey Devil. This is one of my favourites, actually. A wyvern-like creature that haunts the New Jersey Pine Barrens. I love the Jersey Devil. It's so creepy. So the Pine Barrens, the place where this creature is said to have been born, far from the Appalachian wilderness, sightings of the Jersey Devil have been documented all throughout the forests of the eastern United States. According to popular legend, the Jersey Devil was born to a woman named Jane Leeds. Leeds, upon realizing she was pregnant with her 13th child and daunted by the task of giving birth yet again, cursed the child in her womb, proclaiming it would be the devil itself. So born as a normal child, it quickly transformed, gaining a goat or horse's head, large bat wings, and a forked devil's tail. Kicking at the family and lashing out of its tail, it flew up the chimney and out into the night, disappearing into the Pine Barrens. The Jersey Devil is one of the oldest cryptids in North American history, with sightings spanning back through the 1800s all the way to the origin of the myth in the late 1700s. It's said to move with incredible speed and is recognised by its high-pitched, blood-curdling scream. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'm being blown away at the sheer amount of foreshadowing that I'm getting from these additional Booksmart checks here. And I am going to be paying close attention to every single one of these books. Ginseng babies. Roots said to scream like infants if dug up under the full moon. Oh, look at that. What the fuck? It's safe to say life was hard in the South after the Civil War. The land and its people had been ravaged by conflict, and many turned to unusual industries to get by. One such industry was that of ginseng diggers, or sand diggers, as they were colloquially known, who eked out a meagre living for themselves by digging up and selling wild American ginseng. Myths surrounding sand diggers were plentiful, but most prominent among them were that of the ginseng baby. It was said that if you dig up a ginseng root on the night of the new moon, it will cry like an infant and leave blood in the earth when it's torn free. The parallels to European mandrake myths are clear, and it can be assumed this myth arose from cross-pollination from European immigrants, but perhaps on the night of the new moon you should go out and dig up a ginseng root, see if it cries, and check the earth for its blood. For it could be that the myth spread not through legends passed down through immigrant families, but from the unsettling experiences of these Appalachian foragers. More Booksmart books to read soon, just taking a drink. The Bell Witch, a particularly violent haunting in Tennessee. You're the only 10 I see. One of the most famous hauntings in North American history, the Bell Witch was a strange entity that plagued the citizens of the Red River region of Tennessee in the early 1800s. Many strange phenomena have been attributed to the witch through the years, but the most famous was the haunting of the Bell family. It started out as a fairly typical haunting, with unnatural sounds echoing throughout the house after sundown, and the appearance of a strange mammal that no one could identify or capture. Unlike other hauntings though, these acts quickly escalated to attacks on the family, and in particular the daughter, Elizabeth Bell. She was constantly covered in bruises from the spirit's abuse. The spirit could frequently be heard speaking through the walls, its disembodied voice mocking the family and any visitors, and it eventually escalated to giving full-blown hallucinations to those dwelling in the Bell house. Though this haunting ended in the early 1800s, its activity continued in the region for many decades. It could be that the entity known as the Bell Witch may still dwell in the Red River region to this day. Hopkinsville Goblins, small silvery creatures that besieged a farm in Kentucky. You're the only Ken I tookie. The Hopkinsville Goblins case was a supposed close encounter with extraterrestrials in the 1950s near Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Look at that little gremlin. Look at that creature. It looks like it's just causing mischief. Like, I'm sure the book's going to go into great detail about how these things are malicious and deadly and will tear your throat out, but that just looks like a little guy. That's just a silly little guy. During the incident, 5 adults and 7 children arrived at the local police station claiming that a group of small chrome creatures had besieged their farmhouse for hours. When police arrived on the scene, they found bullet holes and spent shells, but little else in the way of evidence. Skeptics suggest the family had simply misidentified a group of great horned owls. Even so, the incident remains one of the most thoroughly corroborated and documented cases of extraterrestrial contact. Damn, and we still have more! 3 more! These are all the regular ones that you don't get. These are the only ones you get if you're not a big librarian enjoyer, like me. I mean library enjoyer. My opinion on librarians is not relevant right now. Wampus cat, a large cat-like creature with a loud howling voice, often said to sound like a woman crying out in pain. Often links to the Cherokee legends, some cite the Wampus cat as originating with the story of a woman who sought vengeance against a monstrous cat demon for driving her husband mad. She hunted it down and, by wearing a bobcat mask, tricked it into using its own vile magic on itself, freeing the people of their region from its evil. Others say the creature comes from the story of a woman who wore the pelt of a wildcat to witness forbidden hunting rites. The hunters of her village gathered to perform the rites, and she watched in secret underneath the cat's pelt, but was soon discovered. For her indiscretion, she was fused with the pelt and transformed into a creature that was neither human nor cat, forced to wander the wilderness alone, feared by all. Her calls are those of great sadness, and serve as a warning to anyone who dares to go against tradition. That's basically it's the story that parents tell kids who don't want to follow tradition. The Wampus cat will get you. Tommyknockers, enigmatic cave-dwelling creatures primarily known for causing mischief. Tommyknockers originated in Cornish mythology, spreading to the United States when Cornish immigrants began working in Appalachian mines. They're named for the knocking that can be heard from seemingly within the walls before a cave-in. According to some, the knocking serves as a benevolent warning. Others say the creatures take stolen hammers to the supports of the mine and collapse them on whoever is unfortunate enough to still be inside. They are traditionally thought to be impish, leprechaun-like beings, but some claim they are the spirits of dead miners forever cursed to haunt their final resting place. That doesn't bode well. Tailipo. I'm so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. There was a hunter who lived in a tiny cabin in the middle of the woods, all alone with his hunting dog. One night, after a particularly bad week of hunting, both their stomachs empty, the hunter spied something out of the corner of his eye. Some small creature had gotten into the cabin through a hole, and before he could even figure out what it was, he'd drawn his gun and fired at the thing, his hunger guiding his actions. But it was quick, and ran back through its hidey hole and out of sight, leaving only its black tail shot off by the hunter's rifle. "Guess this'll have to do," he said to the dog, and threw the tail in a pot to cook as a soup. He and his dog ate well that night, the tail filling them both up. The hunter crawled into bed, satisfied, and his dog curled up at his feet. He woke up to the sound of long nails scrabbling across wood. His dog was nowhere in sight, only a rumpled spot on the covers where he'd been, and in the gloom he saw two big yellow eyes staring right at him. "I want my Tailipo," a high, hoarse voice croaked from the darkness. "Go away!" he screamed at the thing. But it stepped closer to him, still shrouded in darkness, the sound of long claws dragging across hardwood accompanying its movements. "I want my Tailipo." Pardon me. "I want my Tailipo," the creature growled again. "I'll get my dog after you," the hunter squeaked, his voice catching in his throat with fear, but there was no dog to be seen. "I want my Tailipo." Before the hunter could so much as scream, the creature leapt from the darkness, long claws stretched out towards the hunter. No one is sure what the creature did to him that night, but the next morning all that remained of the hunter, his dog, and his cabin was a chimney standing alone in the woods. Well, that was thoroughly fucked up. We read about buildings. No, even the buildings were scary. What am I on about? You close the book and put it back. Whew, wow, that was an intense study session. Holy moly. Look how happy that Gretchen is with us. She's so proud of us for all of our work that we've done. I think I'm all done. Let's check in. Alright, if we're going with what Kanika's mum told us last night, I think we can rule out any natural disasters as what brought the Ditchlings here. But not nuclear incidents. Looks like our state has a history with those. What about y'all? Found anything? Before you can respond, a handsome black cat leaps onto the table. Almost on instinct, Stella slams her book shut. "Aw, hey Pixel. You might want to close your book. He loves to rip up any paper he can find." "Don't worry, little guy, I didn't forget your treats." Pixel immediately goes to town on Stella's treats. Sorry if Pixel's bothering y'all. Hopefully he hasn't gobbled up any of our books. He can't stand the thought that people might pay attention to anything that isn't him. Why do you let a paper shredder freely wander a library? Have you seen this little guy's face? How could I say no to that? Alright, we'll leave you be, Pixel. The cat curls up on the table, fast asleep. Alright, I better get back to shelving. Let me know if y'all need anything. Okay, well, we got a lot to talk about here. Let's start off strong and show off that we are extremely good at books. Alright, let's talk about historical buildings of Scarlet Hollow. I love that I'm just, evidently, from these reactions, even the dog looks confused at me. Like, I'm completely coming in from left field to be like, I researched this so confidently. Oh my god, you read that? That book was assigned as punishment if we misbehaved in school. It's an excellent sleep aid. NyQuil and melatonin have nothing on historical buildings of Scarlet Hollow. Rumour has it that nobody has read it from cover to cover. You guys are missing out. It's one of my favourite books here. Such rich history. Guess we're just kindred spirits, Jam. I could be embarrassed and say, I didn't read the book. I'm not owned. I'm going to be passionate. Like, I'm not going to tell them off. I'm not going to be embarrassed. Look, this town has deep lore, and I am here for all of it. Oh, definitely. I brought this book here for a reason. I'm just surprised someone finally got through it. Stella, why were you going to tell me that the mayor is a dog? Oh, darn. I was hoping it'd be a surprise. Scarlet Hollow hadn't had a human mayor since the 1920s. Yeah, if you were hoping the mayor might be able to help us out here, you're out of luck. What happened to the estate? At some point, the hill it was built on started falling apart. I think it's pretty stable at this point, though. I am going to place a bet here and now. By the time this week is through, that estate is falling down the hill. No way on earth no way on earth that estate is surviving. It's fucking falling down the hill. Is it? Stella, you've seen the place. And half of it is still mostly okay. Why don't the people go to church here? They've just never really had a good pastor around these parts. Not as long as I've been around, at least. And I'm not really much of a church person anyway. Who has the time? The building gives off weird vibes too, but not in a fun, haunted way. Even the hospital here is named after my family. I know it's in a name, but calling it a hospital is generous. Right now it's a one-woman medical clinic. Any serious emergencies happen these days, we gotta call an ambulance from out of town. That's where Reese and his mum live. She's the town doctor, though these days he don't really see a lot of patients. The Tremaine homestead seems like the only thing here that doesn't have the Scarlet name stamped on it. Yeah, I think they've been around these parts even longer than your family, though they're the Tremaines and the Callaways now. They literally split their farmhouse in half over that schism. Duke, rest his soul, was one of the last two Callaways left. I guess it's down to just Bo now. I can't imagine what he's going through right now. About the coal mines here. Kanika visibly shudders. I get cold sweats just thinking about being in a place like that. I feel for the guys who work up there. I could never. Speak for yourself. I love a good crevasse. Okay, we've got a few choices here. We've got a couple exploration options. I'm going to save, because I want to do this one, but I don't know if it's going to go over well or not. Like, I'm being sarcastic and being pro-union. But I don't know if that's what the game means. A union-busting mine collapsed from poor working conditions. Color me shocked. Yeah, it's pretty awful. That's what that sculpture is out there for, commemorating all the men and children who died that day. Every kid in Scarlet Hollow learns about the collapse of 1918. Our teachers love to emphasize how many children they have working down there. Probably try and show us how good we have it or whatever. Low bar, if you ask me. You know, that could be what the ditchlings are warning us about. Another collapse. Writing it down on a list of potential disasters. Yeesh, Stella, that's morbid. And besides, it was all Charles Shaw's fault. The labour market is way more strict now, and there's no way you could get away with that kind of safety cutbacks he pulled. You don't actually think the mine is about to collapse, right? No, I don't think so. Oof, had me worried for a second. I hate to give Tabitha any credit, but the mine is safer now than it was back then. Still, what a horrible thought. You never know. History tends to be written by winners. Maybe there's more to Charles Shaw's story than these dusty old books are letting on. Normally I'd be inclined to agree with you there, but we're talking about an old-timey coal boss. I'd be shocked if he wasn't cutting corners. Oh, Jam does make a fair point. Shaw was certainly a problematic figure, but there might be other details that were lost to time. Sure, but the guy was run out of town on a rail. And that's not a figure of speech. Back then they actually tied you to a rail and ran you out of town. There's a big mural of it over on the far wall. Oh yeah, that's what we saw coming in. He got off easy if you ask me. What happened after the mine collapse? The book just kind of glosses over that. There was a union for a little bit, but it didn't last. There's not a whole lot written about the past century here. Yeah, the Scarlet Hollow mine isn't exactly the most ethically run business. I'm sure Tabby runs the mines better than Charles Shaw did. That's such a low bar. Tabby could kick me in the ribs, and that would be better than Tabby's ancestor kicking me in the throat. Still hasn't let the union in though. There's a reason she and I don't talk. How do I feel about this? I don't know if I want to immediately jump to it being a mine collapse, you know, like that being it. We have no evidence to say that the mines are about to collapse, you know what I mean? Yeah, we'll go for this. I'm not sure I agree with the collapse angle, but the mines seem important. The whole town is built around them. Yeah, that's fair. They're bound to be relevant in some way. Hard to argue against that, but it doesn't really give us much to go on. Just because something seems obvious doesn't necessarily mean it's right or relevant. Okay, well we got a lot more exploring to do. Stella, what was that you were saying about nuclear incidents? You were talking about that Goldsboro thing, right? Yeah, apparently in the 60s a B-52 carrying a live warhead broke up mid-air and dropped a couple bombs. Fascinating bit of history there. The first of the two bombs landed up right after its parachute got caught in a tree. Thankfully it didn't go off. At the time, the government claimed that the bomb was unarmed, but it later came out that the only thing preventing a detonation was a single electrical switch, which failed to trigger on the descent. And 60 years later, the second bomb still hasn't been recovered. Right. Conventional explosive disintegrated in mid-air, but most of the nuclear material was made unrecoverable by flooding. If I remember correctly, they just buried it and sealed it up. So the nuke made the ditchling. That's a great theory. Oh god, we're screwed. Goldsboro is over 300 miles from here. I don't think we have to be worried about that. Yeah, that's fair. Would make sense for the ditchlings to be here specifically if that was the case too. We also really shouldn't be looking too much into this whole disaster angle. Whatever those creatures are, they're biological. You never know with radiation. We actually know quite a bit. It just melts you. Doesn't make monsters. And a 60-year-old bomb isn't going to explode on its own hundreds of miles away and kill us here. You never know. There could always be a whole underground society of bomb-worshipping mutants just waiting to blow it up. I've missed this. Oh my god. You lean in and quietly whisper to Stella and Kanika. Do you guys think there's like a cult here? I should not have selected this one, but I don't have a save to load. So, you know what? Those cops were awfully suspicious last night. Really weird combination of being dismissive and trying to pin things on me. I don't know, it just feels like a cover-up. Yeah, that was really pretty bad, but I'm not sure they have it into them to be part of a cult. Definitely. I don't think they're capable of putting in the effort. That's exactly what I was saying earlier before I got too big for my boots and tried to propose the cult theory. Sorry about that, gang. So Silas Scarlet. You could be a real piece of shit. Yeah, what a cool guy Silas Scarlet was. What a revisionist biography. Really glosses over all the war crimes to paint a picture of a self-made man. It's a perfect example of why you should use multiple sources for your research instead of trusting the first thing you read on a subject. Yep, dude was a monster. Sorry you're related to him. Hish. Do you think the ditchlings are here for retribution? That seems tenuous. Assuming Kanika's mom is right, they're here as an omen, not because they're going to do something themselves. And I think we know how I feel on the matter. Let's talk about... So, Appalachian folk monsters. Ghosts are fake. What order do we want to be doing this? There's some striking similarities between Mothman and Ditchlings. Both of them are portents to doom. Mothman, love that guy. There's a whole subgenre of cryptids that serve as bad omens, but the disaster angle is definitely a clear connection. Maybe Mothman is what happens when a ditchling is all grown up. But they're already reproducing. And they don't have wings, and they're pale and blobby. Huh. They have a certain caterpillar vibe, don't they? Why am I even engaging with you on this? Portents of doom aren't real. Wamba's cats kind of sound like they could be mountain lions. Or it's like a woman crying out somewhere between person-sized and cat-sized. Definitely, they are 100% mountain lions. Kanika, you know there are no mountain lions up here. I thought you were supposed to be a skeptic. But the myths are old, right? Mountain lions didn't go extinct in the Appalachians that long ago. Those legends just haven't died off yet. Almost every cryptid can be tracked down to either a hoax or someone getting confused about a perfectly normal animal. Sometimes both. Bigfoot, for instance, started as a prank. Then folks saw bears walking around on their hind legs and got freaked out, and now here we are. You'll eat those words when I get the first clear footage of a Bigfoot. If you manage that, I will print out a piece of paper that says Bigfoot isn't real and literally eat it. I promise. I'm holding you to it. Hopkinville goblins were silvery, small, and travelled in a pack. There's a lot of similarities to ditchlings there. Those are 100% confirmed aliens, though. Unless... The Hopkinsville goblins were just a couple of owls some drunk farmers saw at 3 AM. They're not aliens, and before you say it, no, ditchlings aren't aliens either. Okay, it doesn't matter if either are aliens, the similarities between them, the whole implanting thing we saw feels consistent with stories about aliens. We used to say they aren't aliens, it seems more plausible than them being supernatural. All I'm saying is there's a precedent for this physical description, it's a starting point. I'm stuck between the first one and the fourth one. We'll go for the fourth one. All I'm saying is there's a precedent for this physical description. It's a starting point. Fair enough. Now we get to this talk about fun things for fun, because I'm not going down the Tommyknockers route. I'm not... Why? There's no real connect. The ditchlings aren't... They're not in the mines. They're not knocking on things. That's not... Nah. Why is the Jersey Devil even in this book? The Pine Barrens are specifically not in Appalachia. Because he's cool? The Jersey Devil is like the granddaddy of North American cryptids, and it's kinda close to Appalachia. Back when I was a kid, I always wanted one as a pet. Okay. My mum used to tell me that Taylor Post story back when I was little. I can't believe I forgot that one. It scared me so bad I didn't eat soup for years. I thought a monster might try and dig it out of my stomach if I did. Oh, I love that one. There's this old chimney in the woods that I used to think was the chimney from Taylor Poe. The one that was left after the thing did whatever it did. Now I know that's just because chimneys don't burn down and wooden houses do. That doesn't mean it's not the chimney from Taylor Poe. I've camped out there a couple times and seen some pretty spooky stuff. Yeah, I watched that video. You saw raccoons. You're gonna get rabies one of these days chasing after wildlife like that. What can I say? I like to live on the edge. The Bell Witch sounds terrifying. Yeah, no kidding. Thankfully, she isn't real. I've seen some horrible things here so far. At this point, I'm like, anything could be real. Absolutely anything. I have never even heard of ginseng babies before this. Oh yeah, that myth is pretty buried. I'm so attracted to you. The author managed to unearth it for this book. Get it? But seriously, whoever wrote this book definitely stretched things out so they can include some of their favourite stuff, like how the Jersey Devil is in it. Have you seen what ginseng roots look like though? Creepy stuff. Creepy, but incapable of screaming. Yeah, that's one of those things that even I don't buy into. Let's move on. Any luck with Have you had any luck with Rosalina? Not yet. I knew a teen would be a handful, but I didn't think it'd happen overnight. I'll probably head out once you're all done and check in on her usual haunts. Do you think Wayne factors into any of this? That creep who keeps coming around my mum's tea room? He snuck up on us last night and called out Jam by name. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with him. Maybe he's sick. Maybe that has something to do with what you saw in the woods. I don't know. I'd buy it. So, because we're book smart, we're able to sort of find that the common thread here is the mines. The mines are the obvious common thread between everything we've researched. Between Wayne, the old collapse, and the fact that the whole town's practically been built around them. They're the smartest place to start our investigation. Good idea. There's an awful lot of mines-related stuff in my notes. We can poke around, find out if anyone's seen anything weird. Just to clarify, you two are suggesting we go to question some of the miners, right? We are not poking around unprepared in the actual mines, right? Right? Yeah, totally, 100%. I would never. We don't have a good reason to go down there. Good, let's keep it that way. You know how I feel about mines. I promise, Meeks, we're just going to question some of the miners. And if that questioning gives us a good reason to poke around, say, a cool abandoned coal mine, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. You can cross that bridge when we come to it. I am not going underground. I'm just messing with you. We'll stick to the surface. Yeah, and hopefully we can find out what happened to Wayne while we're at it. So, after being shown like a smidgen of Tabitha caring about us, I feel like Scarlet Jam is going to really latch onto this and it's going to be like, I want to befriend Tabitha. Maybe she can help. Maybe Tabitha can help us out. Kanika doesn't look impressed by this idea. No, I don't think she'd be super jazzed to see any of us snooping around the mines. I can't imagine what she'd do if we actually bothered her while she's trying to run the place. She does get a little grumpy when she's at work. She gets grumpier at work. I'm pretty sure pissed is that girl's baseline level of existence. Chatting over dinner might be a better way to get to know her. If you're okay eating Buck's mac and cheese. I'm not even allowed the mac and cheese. The mac and cheese is for her alone. I would be fine eating some. We can sneak around the mines, no problem. She won't even know we were there. Look at us going out on the caper together. I missed this. I missed it too. Though, there is something missing. Reese. I really miss that dude. Can't believe how long it's been. Have you seen him lately? Nope. I tried to plan stuff, but he's been too sick. I didn't realise it was getting so bad. That poor guy. You know, we could just pop over and surprise him. He seemed excited to meet Jam. Maybe we'll finally get him to leave his little cave. Hell yeah, let's do it. See you, Oscar. We'll let you know if we run into We'll let you know if we run into Rosalina. Thanks, guys. I'll keep you all posted. And off we go. Reese's home stands at the edge of the forest wall, an isolated buffer cushioning the rest of the town from an unending wilderness. It's actually been a day since, in real life, since I started this episode. I decided to take a bit of a... Well, I took a break after that, 30-minute long study session. It turns out reading an entire study session out is a little bit tiring on the old cards, so I've rested. I'm pumped up. I'm raring to go. Head first into disaster. So we're going visiting Reese. Let's see if we can get Reese to come with us, I guess. Unlike several of the other entries in historical buildings of Scarlet Hollow, this one still looks mostly like it did in the book. Reese, it's Stella. I bought some buddies too. Shh. Not so loud. Sorry, I got distracted by Plaid. Not so loud. He's still sleeping. Can I help you with something? The woman in the doorway stares directly into your eyes. You can practically feel her simmering irritation washing over you. Hi, Dr. Kelly. We were wondering if it would be okay if Reese could come hang out. Nothing strenuous, we promise. I'm not going to wake him up. If he's sleeping, he probably needs it. Whatever you two have planned is probably beyond what he can manage right now anyways. Oh no, poor Reese. It's just been so long since either of us have gotten a chance to hang out with him. I'm sure he and Jam would get along super well too. I don't know, I might stay quiet. I don't want to introduce myself as Vivian's kid. So I guess we're keeping quiet. Dr. Kelly looks you up and down. You don't think you've done anything wrong, but she certainly makes you feel like you have. Reese's mum turns back towards the house, sighing. Sorry, I know that was a little rude. You just want to hang out with Reese, and he misses both of you too. He's usually feeling his best around mid-afternoon. Why don't you come over tomorrow and have some supper and y'all can hang out for a bit? I don't promise that he'll be perky, but I'm sure it'll brighten his spirits to see you two again. And I suppose you can come too, Jam. Ugh. That'd be great. I can bring a side dish. Maybe deviled eggs. Does he still eat those? No, eggs are a little much for him. They don't sell well. You can leave the cooking to me. I know what he can handle. Okay, I'll bring soda then. That's not... Okay, yes, fine. You can bring soda. Nothing with caffeine. Ginger ale, preferably. Oh, and leave the dog at home. She might cheer him up, you know. They have those therapy dogs in hospital. No dogs. Thanks so much, Dr. Kelly. We'll stop bothering you now. See you later. Dr. Kelly nods in acknowledgement and quickly shuts the door. The sounds of several locks clicking into place can be heard from within. God, that woman makes me so nervous. She used to be so nice when we were kids. Always had the best stickers when we had to get our shots. Maybe she's distressed about Reese. Or maybe she's just nice to kids. Either way, I guess it's just the three of us. You gonna drive? Yeah, sorry, I don't like the thought of going up there without the van. Cool, I'll take my shortcut then. Shouldn't take me long for me to get there. You're welcome to You're welcome to tag along, Jam. Don't worry, I won't be offended if you rather ride with Kanika. I'm sure you're probably sick of the woods. Either way works for me. I'm not going to press her on this mines thing. The mines thing, the car thing. I don't need to know that right now. But I am going to walk with her. I'll walk with Stella. We'll meet you there. The woods are calm and serene compared to last night, though you can't help but feel that danger lurks just beyond the trees. Hey, thanks for coming along with us. With Gretchen and me, I mean. I hope I hadn't seemed too cold about everything that happened last night. The truth is, I'm barely keeping myself together. I just don't know how to let it out. Duke died out there last night, and I can't stop thinking that it might have been my fault. If only I didn't drag you along into the woods. If only I'd listened to you when you wanted to leave. If only I did anything when everything went sideways. I'm sorry. Stella pauses, searching for what to say. Look at that fucking despicably adorable dog. I'm sorry, I know it's a really emotional moment, but look at the dog. It's like there's this guilt boiling under my skin, but the only way I can process what happened is by turning off the part of me that feels things. When I'm around other people, it's like I think a Duke dying is just a thing that happened, like it's just a part of another video. Because if I actually admit to other people and I feel something, then I'd have to admit to myself that what happened is my fault. Okay, this is a quite, I would say, fragile situation. Of course, it's not your fault. I'm not gonna... It feels like empty platitudes. It's not the time for me to be like this. It really isn't. You were so cool and collected. What happened? What happened. We have to make the choice to move forward. Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be this one. I do appreciate that she's kind of taking responsibility, because she did totally freeze up. But, like... I don't know. It's not gonna help, is it, to, like, really call her out on that. So we just have to accept it and move on. What happened, happened. You have to make the choice to move forwards. Thanks, Jam. You're right. I should be better at taking my own advice. I'm glad we could talk about this, though. I can't imagine what it'd be like to go through something like last night alone. The conversation comes to a dramatic halt with you, Stella, and Gretchen all whirling around to face the source of the sound. Whoa, calm down, girl. It's just a bird. Same probably goes for the two of us. I guess we're all a little on edge. Let's hurry to the mine. It shouldn't be much farther.